Hey there, you fabulous folks. I hope your day has been absolutely awesome. We're back for another exciting episode of What If Naruto Was the Conqueror of the Shinobi World. A big shout out to the amazing author behind this fanfiction and show them some love. You'll find their details in the description box below. If this what if scenario is getting your imagination going, drop a comment down below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to explore more mind-blowing what ifs on the channel. Alright, without further ado, let's jump right into this video. The blonde and Shikamaru were wary of what the Akatsuki member was doing, especially since they were two of the same person. At the same time, that could easily be a clone. The face Naruto was making showed that there was something Shikamaru was missing. Shika, the second one is not entirely clone, Naruto whispered to him, not taking his eyes off the Akatsuki members. He knew he should have paid more attention to his surroundings, especially since he was fighting with an S-rank shinobi. What do you mean? Shikamaru asked, frowning, his voice small. Despite wanting to help his friend, he knew very well that the surprise attack he did a few minutes ago was as far as he could go. He was only beginning. Shikamaru knew whatever strategy he came up with could not work anymore. The damned shinobi knew of him, not to mention his strength was beyond anything he had ever experienced. Shikamaru knew even Asuma-sensei wouldn't be able to hold his own against someone like him. That suddenly raised a question in Shikamaru's mind. How is Naruto able to stand against him? He asked himself, not exactly knowing the answer. He knew Naruto was stronger than them. That much was as clear as day. Hell, Shikamaru knew Naruto was stronger than even Asuma-sensei. But it's one thing to be stronger than a Jonin, and an entirely different thing to be as strong as an S-rank shinobi. That basically meant that Naruto was already in league with the strongest shinobi there was. Shikamaru, you should run. This duplicate of him is not like a normal clone. Even the strongest clones like wood clones or shadow clones are always much weaker than the original. That's why a good censor is always able to tell the original between the clones. With that said, this new clone, whatever he is, has the exact same level of strength as the original that I fought since the beginning, Naruto informed him, frowning. Shikamaru gulped at the information. He had never heard of a clone being as strong as the original. Their situation just got from bad to worse. At this rate, Shikamaru knew they could never win even with Asuma-sensei around to support them. Naruto was silent, his mind thinking about how he could achieve that. There was only one possibility that came to him, but if that were the case, then where was the third one? Naruto grabbed Shikamaru's jacket before jumping away as fast as he could, just as a fist collided to where Shika was standing a second ago. The fist caused debris to fly everywhere, as the shock wave sent them flying. Naruto pulled out his katana, cutting every rock that was sent flying in their direction. Landing on the ground, a second Kakuzu appeared prepared to crush Shikamaru, with his kick enhanced with Earth Chakra. Naruto's eye made contact with the second Kakuzu, just in time to throw him in a Genjutsu, before again dodging the lethal attack. As the smoke cleared, Naruto was on his feet, Shikamaru was lying on the ground, and a rock had hit his chest. He rubbed his ribs in pain, knowing he was only a liability to Naruto right now. Naruto didn't have much of a reaction to seeing three Kakuzu with the same level of strength in front of him. So he has 3 hearts left. I see he can use any of his hearts to create an exact replica of his, with the exact same level of strength, durability, and everything. I will need to use Mingekyo, but even I can't win against 3 S-rank shinobi at the same time. So this is your secret jutsu. You are using your hearts to create a perfect clone. I have to be honest, this is quite an achievement, Naruto spoke, hoping to buy time for the others to arrive. Spreading his sense as wide as possible, he knew Asuma-sensei was rushing towards their location with Ino and several Taki shinobi. Kakuzu had no visible reaction to what the blonde said, except his eyes widened for a second before going back to normal. He wouldn't allow the brat the satisfaction of knowing he caught him off guard. This is beyond what Itachi informed us. It is one thing to say he is high Chunin level at best, and an entirely different thing to be S-rank shinobi. No, Itachi must have either upheld information on purpose or something happened that he wasn't aware of. The leader wouldn't be happy with us. I need to deal with them soon. It is already humiliating that I needed to show my secret jutsu to this brat, Kakuzu thought with anger, ready to attack with both of his heart clones, at the same time when a shockwave came out of nowhere, so strong that every tree, grass, and rock was ripped apart, sending it flying away. Kakuzu used chakra on his feet to keep his balance as the wind slammed against him, trying to take him away. The moment the shockwave hit, Shikamaru didn't even have time to understand what was happening before he was sent flying, but Naruto grabbed the jacket around his shoulder, keeping him from flying away, using his chakra around his feet to keep himself steady. Naruto saw the large explosion very far from them. The smoke had already reached 100 meters, knowing of only one person who could cause something like this and was nearby. I hope you won the fight, Furu, Naruto thought, knowing the tailed beast bomb was very costly, especially when the Jinchuriki is not a perfect one. While Furu could use the mini Jinchuriki form for a few minutes, that still was far from a perfect Jinchuriki like Killer Bee or Jaeger. After the shockwave went away, the landscape around them had changed drastically. Every tree was ripped apart from its roots, leaving behind only a hole where the tree should have been, and many tree parts, branches, and rocks broken to pieces were all around them. The vast forest that was in front of them just a minute ago, now was reduced to a desolate landscape, with no life anywhere. The birds had flown away before the shockwave arrived, but that wasn't the same as the other forest animals. But now wasn't the time to mourn about it. Kakuzu glanced in the direction where the explosion came from. He knew if Hidan was hit directly by whatever that was, then his immortality would do little to nothing to help him. Is the bastard really dead? He asked himself. If that was the case, then he knew whoever was fighting the idiot was headed here right now to help the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Stupid idiot, I always told him he was careless, he thought, and just as he thought of attacking, a man landed in front of the blonde brat. Kakuzu recognized his face almost immediately. He had quite a big bounty on his head. Asuma Sarutobi stood in front of his students, his blades ready to fight the enemy. Ino was behind him, checking on Naruto and Shikamaru. Asuma analyzed the enemy in front of him. He didn't recognize the man. The green-haired girl wanted to come with them, but the Taki Shinobi ordered her to stay behind, stating that she was too valuable to be put in danger. Asuma had wanted to point out that she had fought an S-rank shinobi and apparently won, but this wasn't his village, not his shinobi, not his problem. Ino, take Naruto and Shikamaru away. Let me deal with this, Asuma ordered, his voice leaving no place for discussion. He would protect his students, and that was his job as a sensei, to protect them. Naruto took a step forward, clearly not agreeing with what his sensei was saying. With all due respect Asuma-sensei, I can help. You can't win even if it were just one of them. Naruto spoke from behind him, slowly walking and standing beside him. Asuma was about to say this was an order when Kakuzu made his move, showing up in front of him. Asuma just barely had time to counter it with his blades enhanced with chakra. His fist collided with his blade, but it didn't manage to cut his skin. The ground around them started cracking, the Jonin barely holding one of them at bay, when the second one showed up behind him. Shit, Asuma thought, knowing he had no way of dodging, but Naruto punched the second Kakuzu. But that left him wide open from the third Kakuzu, who took his opportunity to slam his fist, sending Naruto crashing to the ground, his fist strong enough to crush his ribs to pieces, as blood erupted from his crushed chest. Naruto. Asuma thought, shocked, but just like that, Naruto disappeared into smoke. Clone Kakuzu thought, when did that bastard do that? I never made eye contact with him, Kakuzu thought before his eyes widened. Wait, that moment when his thoughts interrupted with Naruto above him with one red Rasengan on his hand and a kunai on his other. But Kakuzu wouldn't fall for this again, sending his fist flying towards the brat. The blonde immediately threw the kunai towards him, disappearing and reappearing right in front of him, and where he stood a moment ago was a kunai. He switched places. Before he could think, Naruto created a second red Rasengan, before slamming his two powerful jutsus on his chest. Only one of them was enough to cause a large explosion, but two of them created a firestorm around them, causing everything to catch on fire. Even his teammates weren't saved as their skin was burned in some areas from the incredibly high temperature around the area. As the explosion cleared out, the crater created by the jutsu had caused the ground to turn pitch black, releasing smoke in some areas, which meant the temperature was high enough to melt rocks. Kakuzu had chosen that moment that the smoke was everywhere to gain distance from them. His second heart returned to his body. Asuma was mesmerized by the power shown by his student, but noticed that he was on his knees, tired, his hands were seriously wounded, and sweating from his face. His breathing was labored. The Jonin turned his attention back to the S-rank shinobi, who was doing several signs before slamming his open hand on the ground. We will fight again, and next time you won't be so lucky, were his last words before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Asuma still looked around, wanting to make sure they were truly safe before calling it a day. It's safe, sensei. I'm a censor, he's nowhere close, Naruto said, his voice raspy, lying on the ground, incredibly tired. Asuma sighed in relief. His knees suddenly felt weak, but he forced himself to stand. But now that his body wasn't trying to survive, only now the pain registered. He winced in pain, looking at his right arm. The area around his elbow, hand and shoulder were burned, especially his hand, most likely from the jutsu Naruto used. Even his Jonin jacket was burned in some places. He knew he needed a new one when he returned to Konoha. Turning around to face his brave shinobi, Ino was busy healing Naruto's burned hands. His skin had turned almost dark from his fire Rasengan, especially the tip of his fingers, where the bone was slightly visible from all the charred skin, and his nails were half burned. Naruto knew his jutsu was dangerous, but the pain made him not want to use it again. Stop moving, Ino scolded him, trying to heal his wounds with what little she knew. Ino wanted to shout at herself. She knew with how powerless she was, she could barely help, but seeing Naruto like this made her regret not standing and helping however she could. Naruto seemed to know what she was thinking before his hand cupped her face, his thumb wiping away her tears. Hey, you did the right thing. Asuma arrived just in time to help us. If it weren't for you, who knows how long would it take, Naruto spoke softly. Ino smiled before focusing on his wounds, which were quite numerous. Shikamaru was leaning against a big rock that had fallen there when the giant explosion happened. He wanted to stand up, but the burns around his legs from Naruto's jutsu prevented him from doing that, not to mention his ribs were still hurting him. Shikamaru wanted to tell Naruto that he should have used something else, but knowing how strong his enemy was, perhaps Naruto didn't want to take any chances. With that thought in mind, Shikamaru closed his eyes, hoping he could just fall asleep and wake up better, but with how badly burned his legs were, the sun shining down on them that he usually liked was causing him pain. Damn it, Naruto, next time, use something like that when we are far away, Shikamaru said with annoyance, looking at his friend, who was resting his head on Ino's lap. Don't be like that, Shikamaru. Scars are baddest and will increase your chances of finding a girlfriend, Naruto teased with a smirk, his voice strained. Troublesome blondes, Shikamaru murmured with a little smile on his face. Closing his eyes, Naruto almost immediately fell asleep. Ino soon finished her job, but knowing Kyuubi had done most of it. Let's bring him to a hospital, Asuma said, tired walking in front of Ino, grabbing the kid and holding him in his arms as they somehow left the area. All of them needed medical attention. As soon as they left, a figure appeared from the ground, his face half black, half white, with green eyes looking like an overgrown plant. This is quite interesting to think the Kyuubi brat could cause so much damage, the black one spoke, his voice calm, not showing signs of anger despite the mission going terribly wrong. That doesn't matter much, Leader Sama can easily deal with him, let's just collect whatever is left of Hidan, perhaps the leader can do something, the half-white face spoke, his voice a bit more positive. The dark face spoke nothing as they sank into the ground. Something is wrong with that brat, why does his chakra remind me so much of Ashura and Indra? Naruto, after 3 days. The sun was just beginning to rise, his eyes opening slowly, the light immediately hitting his face. He squinted, putting his hand in front of his eyes, hoping to block the annoying light. As his eyes slowly adjusted to the light, only then did Naruto's eyes wander around. The first thing he noticed was he was in a hospital bed. His ninja emblem was just to his left on a little table close to his bed. His shinobi sandals and his clothes were in the table. The second thing he noticed was Ino sleeping in a chair near his bed, probably uncomfortably, her position causing her head to slightly move to her right, almost making her fall off the chair. Naruto smiled before he remembered what had happened. Seeing her here, he knew no one was probably hurt after the Akatsuki member ran away. The blonde wondered where his favorite green-haired girl was, probably outside or maybe in her home. After all, it was early morning, and many people don't like waking up too early. With that thought, Naruto forced himself into a sitting position, his legs moving over the edge of the bed. Naruto wore his sandals first before wearing the rest of his clothes. After that was over, he nudged Ino softly with his hand, causing her to mumble something in her sleep. Naruto smiled, knowing the best way to wake her up. Leaning closer, he planted a soft kiss just below her ear, before sucking slightly on her sweet skin, causing Ino to moan in pleasure. Naruto thought this would wake her up. Whenever they kissed, he would do this sometimes, knowing how much she enjoyed it, but much to his surprise, her eyes were still closed. While Naruto hadn't slept with her yet, he wondered if she was a heavy sleeper. Kissing her again made her moan out his name before moving her neck to her right, giving him more access to her neck. Ino. I know you're awake, stop pretending you're sleeping, Naruto whispered softly in her ear, his voice sending shivers to her core, making her feel like a burning fire. Opening her eyes, she pouted in annoyance that Naruto was back sitting on his bed with a triumphant smirk on his face. Knowing a single kiss like that could cause her so much pleasure, Ino bit her lower lip, imagining how much more Naruto could do with those lips, an image of her favorite blonde, his head just between her thighs kissing her. She blushed furiously at the thought. Before she set her eyes on Naruto like a hawk. Naruto arched an eyebrow at her sudden change of emotions. Before he could ask what was going on, Ino stood up from her chair, cupping his face with her hands. She kissed his lips. The blonde was taken aback, but quickly returned the gesture. His hands moved to her ass, giving it a light squeeze. Ino moaned, enjoying the way Naruto's hands felt on her skin, sitting on his lap. She started grinding her body on his like a rabbit in heat. Naruto felt her breasts on his chest. His cock got harder from her, something Ino noticed immediately, poking her thighs that were soaked wet, making her blush furiously, still kissing Naruto. Just as things were about to go further, Naruto suddenly pulled away, much to Ino's disappointment, but before she could voice it out. Asuma-sensei is coming, Naruto said. That was enough for Ino to stand up, a bit of her desire going away, but her eyes noticed the bulge on his pants. Her eyes widened slightly at the size, making her hot all over again, but Naruto quickly covered himself. He wasn't exactly comfortable with Asuma walking in with him like that. Ino understood it before sitting down, but she felt something between her thighs, almost like a fire spreading, crossing her legs in hopes of easing the feeling, but it worked only for a second. The door opened, revealing Asuma, who stepped inside, followed by Shikamaru and a smiling Furu, holding an unopened bowl with ramen. Her eyes brightened at seeing her favorite blonde. Naruto-kun, is good to see you awake, Fuse shouted, walking in front of Naruto, who smiled at her, rubbing the back of his neck. Ino paid extra attention to how Fuse was acting towards Naruto. It didn't take a genius to know the Jinchuriki girl had feelings for the blonde Jinchuriki. Ino expected that to bother her, but instead, she felt, she wasn't exactly sure, but she didn't feel irritated, maybe because Anko was also Naruto's girlfriend. She still remembered her talk about how they could share Naruto. While Ino was still unfamiliar with how this thing worked, she had to admit that Anko's body was very attractive, something she felt more every time she trained with the snake mistress. Ino smiled at the image of her Naruto smiling. She knew how the village viewed him. Despite doing nothing to them, she knew her blonde deserved love more than anyone else in the world. I brought you ramen. I first thought of flowers, but knowing you, I knew you would appreciate ramen much more, Fuse said with a cute smile, handing the ramen to Naruto, whose eyes turned to stars. You're a miracle, Fuse-chan. Thank you very much, Naruto said, wasting no time in eating ramen, much to Fuse's delight and Shikamaru's annoyance. Naruto, what about us? Aren't you going to say hello? Shikamaru said with annoyance seeping into his voice, but his words fell on deaf ears. Asuma chuckled at Naruto's antics. Fuse blushed while Ino hummed to herself. Naruto, a doctor, will soon check on you to see if everything is alright. After that, we are going back to Konoha, Shikamaru informed him, knowing his friend always wanted to be in the loop. This caused Naruto to stop eating before arching an eyebrow at Shikamaru. What do you mean? How long have I been in this bed? Naruto asked. He thought at the very least they would stay at least one more day, giving him a chance to see who was responsible for allowing the S-rank shinobi to sneak inside. After we brought you, we finished the job left 2 days ago, but Lord Shibuki allowed us to stay until you woke up, Asuma said. Fuse flinched slightly when the leader's name was mentioned, something only Naruto and Asuma noticed. Naruto narrowed his eyes while Asuma looked down in what looked like guilt. The blonde turned his attention back to his sensei. What about the people who allowed the enemy shinobi to sneak inside? This village is under S-rank in jutsu, under 24 hours the whole week during the entire year. Not only that, but several sensor shinobi are spread across the village to notice anyone who dares to sneak inside. Kakuzu and his comrade Hidan weren't exactly sneaky, not mentioning it took a long time for reinforcements to help. And they came after the enemy was already defeated, Naruto stated, his voice suddenly sounding like a Kage, cold and firm. His blue eyes had turned to ice. Asuma instinctively avoided his gaze before taking a step back. He had a feeling that Naruto wasn't the one talking, but someone who knew how a village was ruled, someone who knew something had happened underneath everyone's noses. Asuma swallowed a breath, knowing what he would say wasn't something that his blonde student would like. Hell, Asuma himself didn't like it, but it wasn't his village, nor his shinobi, nor his problem. Shikamaru turned to look at his friend, same for Ino, while Fuse was as silent as a grave, her right hand playing with the index finger of her left hand, something Naruto knew she did only when she was nervous, something that rarely happened for someone as energetic as Fuse. Lord Shibuki informed us that this situation happened because Kakuzu knew how to sneak in, since he had been a shinobi before, saying they were S-rank shinobi. It was expected to be able to sneak in, Asuma informed him. Naruto barely had any visible reaction. He only gave Asuma a look that said, "Are you serious?" Before standing up, his chakra causes the room to feel colder suddenly. The concrete started shaking slightly, causing small cracks to appear everywhere. Naruto took a step forward in a menacing way, making everyone in the room freeze from his displayed level of chakra. Even Ino was shocked. She always knew Naruto was strong, but her eyes noticed that her boyfriend's eyes had turned icy. All the warmth on them had disappeared, but the glare he was sending at Asuma was anything but kind. But only few noticed the sun symbol on Naruto's palm suddenly visible and shining. Shit. This is not good, Chimei thought, with a shaky voice. Fuse was about to ask what the problem was when Naruto suddenly spoke with a different voice. Kakuzu abandoned this village a century ago when Hashirama was still walking this earth. Are you telling me the security of this village hasn't changed in the last century? Are you telling me that they just happened to sneak when I was in the village when the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi was inside their village under guaranteed protection? Not only that, but you just happened to be away when they attacked, not to mention why it takes so long for reinforcements to come to our aid. The censors should have noticed the sudden spark of chakra inside the village the moment we started fighting. As Naruto spoke, he approached menacingly, making everyone but Fuse step back. Tell me, isn't it just a bit too convenient? Naruto demanded an answer, and Asuma froze from his student's eyes. They weren't the eyes of his student, but the eyes of someone who knew how this world worked. Asuma knew there was a high chance Takagakure had ambushed them, but he had no proof to back that up. Therefore, he was forced to keep his hand down and not take action. He had sent a letter to his father to ask for advice. His father only said to bring his team back to Konoha as soon as possible. They were to discuss it further once they returned back to Konoha. Despite all that, Asuma put a comforting hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto, I understand what are you trying to say, and I think the same, but this is not our village. The Hokage himself ordered me to stand down and just return to the village. We are going to fix this problem some other day, Asuma said, hoping that would ease the sudden tension around the room. A humorless chuckle escaped Naruto's lips as if what Asuma just said was utter bullshit. The blonde shinobi wanted to point out the many times Hiruzen had done nothing to fix things, but instead had decided to let things play out without interfering before it was too late. Like with the Uchiha massacre, if he had interfered sooner, maybe what happened would haven't happened. Allowing Orochimaru to escape instead of killing him, what if he was his former student? He was the leader first and teacher second. It was his duty as a Hokage to put him down to end the misery that Orochimaru had caused amongst the many men, women, and children he had kidnapped to experiment on, but instead of doing that, to bring justice for the deaths of innocent people he killed. Instead, he had just stood there and watched as Orochimaru walked away, allowing him to destroy more lives. The same was for Jiraiya. If he had tried to kill Orochimaru instead of trying to convince him if he used Sage Chakra, the Snake Sannin would be dead now, but instead, just like his sensei, he allowed him to run away. Naruto wanted to point out the very existence of Root. They were a private military under the command of Danzo. How can any leader of any village allow someone else except himself to have military power? Not only that, but killing Danzo could endanger Konoha. He knew what kind of order Danzo had given to his subordinates in case of sudden death. But Naruto didn't say any of that. Instead, he just scoffed. Fix later, sure, Naruto said before walking away from the room. Naruto, Ino called out, but the blonde just slammed the door behind him before rushing outside. As he jumped from tree to tree, Naruto felt the fresh air on his face, easing the anger he was feeling right now. Soon he landed close to Fu's home, located in a treehouse. The birds were chirping all around him, a song for Naruto's ears, who was in a sitting position on a tree branch, his back leaning against the tree trunk, his legs stretched out, one hanging outside of the branch, his blue eyes looking at the river nearby, the water splashing against the small rocks, fish jumping out of the water to catch small insects. His ears filled with the sound of birds singing. Closing his eyes, he felt his anger slowly disappearing as if it was never there. Naruto didn't know how long he had been there, but he felt at peace. Soon he heard the sound of someone jumping from tree to tree. He didn't need to open his eyes to know who it was. As soon as the sound of someone landing on the tree right next to him reached his ears, Naruto spoke. Fu-chan, how are you doing? Naruto asked, knowing what he had said back in the room. He knew Fu had already put the pieces together just like him. Someone from her village had betrayed her, and had basically sent her to die. Fu stood silent for a few seconds, her right hand playing with her index finger. I'm not sure, usually I'm one who tries to cheer everyone, but right now, I'm not sure what to do, she said sadly with a downward look. Sitting on a branch just like Naruto, who opened his eyes, forcing himself into a sitting position, his eyes turned to look at Fu, who, after everything, managed a cute little smile. Fu-chan, what if I told you that I could make sure you could live in a place where no one will ever look at you in that way again, where you will be accepted and happy? Naruto asked. Fu's eyes suddenly filled with a burning fire. What is this place? Fu asked with hope in her voice. Despite not knowing him for long, Fu felt in her heart that she could trust Naruto. He saved her life from the Akatsuki member. He had always been gentle with her, always giving her those beautiful smiles that she enjoyed, his blue eyes reminding her of waterfalls, full of life. Naruto opened his mouth and told her of his plans, some of them. Still, he kept many of them hidden, but he gave her a brief summary. Fu listened to what Naruto said, her mouth opening wider as her favorite blonde talked. After he was finished, he looked her straight in the eyes. What do you think? Her answer was immediate. Fu jumped to his chest, almost making both of them fall off the tree, if it wasn't for Naruto using his chakra around his feet. Yes, I would love that, Fu exclaimed at the top of her lungs, hugging him tightly. Naruto smiled, her mint smell around her. He quite liked the feeling of her skin against his face. The blonde hugged her back. We are Jinchuriki, Fu-chan, we should always stick together. It had been a week since the mission on Taki. The blonde said goodbye to Fu and hugged each other. Naruto promised that she wouldn't be alone for much longer. After the upcoming Chunin exams, you won't be alone anymore. After pulling away, Fu surprised everyone but Ino when she kissed Naruto's cheek. The blonde had blushed, scratching his cheek in embarrassment, before murmuring and I liked it when he thought only Fu could hear him. On their way back to Konoha, Naruto had been quieter, something everyone understood why. Taki had betrayed them, and they literally did nothing but walk away with their tails between their legs. Shikamaru didn't voice it out, but he really disliked that the Hokage had done nothing, but since Asuma-sensei was his son, he had held his tongue. The same, of course, didn't apply to Ino, who did more than voice it out, screaming, claiming they should have beaten their asses. Asuma had tried to calm her down, giving excuses that even he knew wouldn't work. That went on until Naruto told Ino to stop, no point in crying over spilled milk. At night, Ino and Naruto secretly shared a bed, but nothing happened except a few kisses here and there. touching and cuddling. During their makeout session, Naruto would squeeze Ino's plump ass, earning a moan of pleasure from the other blonde, who loved the feeling of Naruto's hand on her skin. It always sent shivers of pleasure, her core clenching in need. The blonde's hand gripped her breasts through the fabric. Ino moaned into the kiss, hoping no one could hear them. Thankfully, Naruto had made sure to put a silent seal before starting their training session. Soon the team reached Konoha, and Asuma told them they could leave since they weren't needed in the office for the report the team had quickly dispatched. Still, Naruto knew Asuma didn't want him in the office for fear of blowing up at the Hokage, and perhaps saying something he shouldn't. Naruto walked Ino to her house. The girl gave Naruto a quick kiss before stepping inside, swinging her hips on purpose, knowing it aroused him. Naruto wanted to spend the night with Ino, but her parents were at home. Therefore, Naruto made his way to his house, hoping that Anko was there. Akatsuki. The group had gathered yet again, this time to discuss the spectacular failure of Kakuzu and Hidan. Everyone kept quiet as Kakuzu reported what had happened. To hear that a Genin had defeated his S-rank shinobi was an insult to his pride, yet what shocked him the most. Sharingan Pain repeated in shock, quickly glancing in Itachi's direction, who seemed just as shocked as him. Konan narrowed her eyes. Either Itachi was an outstanding actor, or he really didn't know himself that apparently, the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi had the Sharingan. How? Pain demanded, turning to look at Itachi, who didn't look fazed by his glare or his kai, while Deidara and a few others would sweat at the kai. Itachi kept his composure, not showing fear in front of anyone. I wasn't aware that Jinchuriki of Kyuubi has the Sharingan, Leader Sama, Itachi responded, his voice emotionless. Pain narrowed his eyes at him, looking for even the slightest sign of him lying. He found none whatsoever, but he knew Itachi wasn't an S-rank shinobi for nothing. From all his members, Itachi was probably the strongest behind him in Mater. Right now, he didn't know if Itachi was lying, but he had no proof of that being the case, turning to Kakuzu, who apparently had lost 3 of his hearts. That changes little. You still allowed yourself to be beaten by a Genin, Sharingan or not, Pain spoke, looking at Kakuzu with contempt, the tension rising. We had a chance to capture Kyuubi and Nanabi at the same time. Now, not only did you fail, but you made Konoha aware of our existence. Itachi, Kasame, you two are to capture Kyuubi the next time we make our move, Pain ordered. Itachi and Kasame nodded, the latter grinning like a maniac, while the Uchiha held a blank look on his face. Naruto, you seem to have gotten stronger than I actually thought possible. I will need to inform you soon. Training Ground 10. Team 10 was now doing their weekly exercises with Asuma. Ever since Sarutobi saw what his Genin team were capable of, he decided to intensify their training a little. Ino even asked Asuma to help teach her some new Kaiten jutsus. So far, she only knew the Phoenix Flower and Running Fire. Asuma knew that Ino's chakra reserves is fairly large for a Genin, and her chakra control was now near perfect. She really wanted to learn his Burning Ash jutsu, but he decided that she wasn't ready for such a dangerous technique yet. It was considered a B-rank jutsu for a reason, since it could potentially damage the user as well. So for now, he only taught her 2 new Kaiten jutsus. First, Flame Bullet C-rank offensive equals this technique is executed by the user gathering oil in their mouth, which is created by chakra, spitting it out, and igniting it. This technique simply shoots a flame bullet at the enemy. If the amount of oil that is prepared is kept down, the time it takes to invoke the technique is reduced. This allows the enemy to be stricken unaware, allowing the oil-containing flame bullet to burn them up completely. It is also possible to shoot out a series of flame bullets by partitioning the oil, or a continuous flamethrower. Second, Demon Lantern C-rank offensive equals this technique releases many floating fireballs around the user, which take the shape of ghosts at the final stage of the technique. After performing the required hand seal, they attack the opponent in swarms. Each fireball creates a huge flame at the moment of impact. While Asuma trained Ino with her new Kaiten jutsus, he instructed Naruto and Shikamaru to run several laps around the training ground. He wanted Shikamaru to improve his stamina, and he wanted Naruto to help him in any way he could. While the blonde Uzumaki was running circles around the lazy Nar, Shikamaru was panting like crazy. And he was slightly annoyed when Naruto kept lapping him. As they run, Naruto would often say, "On your left," Naruto smugly said when he passed by Shikamaru. "Yeah, on my left." "Got it," Shikamaru replied lazily while rolling his eyes. After a while, Naruto eventually lapped Shikamaru again, and again, and again, and again. Shikamaru was starting to feel frustrated, probably for the first time in his life. He never once cared about his training due to his laziness. But Naruto is making it look so easy. Too easy. And it was pissing him off. When Naruto was about to pass by him again, Shikamaru started to sprint a little faster, trying to get ahead for once, but it was all in vain. "Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say. On your left. Come on." Shikamaru yelled out as he tried to chase the blonde, but he eventually had to stop, as he could feel his legs were about to give, and his lungs were about to explode. The Nara then went to sit down against a tree as he was clenching his chest, panting like he had forgotten to breathe. He then heard Naruto approaching him, barely winded and hardly sweating. "Need a medic?" Naruto asked with a smirk. "I need a new set of lungs." "How do you do it, Naruto? You just ran 6 laps, and you barely look exhausted." Shikamaru asked as he continued to pant. "I don't know, how do you sleep so easily after just a minute?" Naruto answered his question with his own question. "That's for me to know and for you to find out," Shikamaru said with a smirk. "Damn, I really want to know," Naruto thought as he went. Naruto then went to sit down next to Shikamaru as they watched Ino train with Asuma. They rested in silence for several minutes, until Shikamaru wanted to ask his blonde best friend a long-awaited question. "Naruto, what does Uzumaki in your name actually means?" Shikamaru asked, suddenly looking at his friend, who frowned. For a moment, Shikamaru thought that perhaps he shouldn't have asked that question. Not much, at least not anymore. Uzumaki clan came from Izushiyugakure village. They were powerful allies to Konoha, up until the Second Shinobi War. Kumo, Kiri, and Iwa suddenly attacked them with all their might. My people were known to be peaceful people, but they fought until the end for their own people. Despite being attacked by 3 villages, Izushiyugakure managed to destroy over 50% of all of their forces, resulting in one of the bloodiest battles in shinobi history. That's why it is still said that the water around Izushiyugakure is still red with blood to this day. Some call it the village of blood. That day over 1 million people died, and 1% of them were Uzumaki, Naruto explained with a frown, his eyes suddenly darkened. Shikamaru gulped slightly. His blonde friend always knew how to be scary when he wanted. But then he suddenly remembered something that his father had told him. "Wait, wasn't the first Hokage's wife an Uzumaki?" Shika asked, confused. "Yes, Mito Uzumaki, one of the strongest Uzumaki and excellent in the art of blood sword," Naruto answered, "a jutsu like that to make the sword a force of nature." Mito Uzumaki wasn't SS rank shinobi for naught. Her skill in sword fighting and eventually creating the sword of blood were known around the shinobi world. But the jutsu rivers of blood created by Mito Uzumaki was something feared by everyone. It was said that one slice, one contact with the victim's blood, was enough to cause the blood to go crazy, resulting in various different horrifying deaths. "That means your royalty in a way," Shikamaru said. "Knowing someone like Naruto should have been raised in a more suitable place, rather than the apartment he lives in." Naruto chuckled at Shika's words. He didn't consider himself that. "Well, maybe, but there's no need for you to bow your head or call me some," Naruto japed, earning an eye roll from Shika. "I see," Shikamaru simply said. The Naru was truly amazed with Naruto's family history. He was never the type to take interest in other people's business, since it's too troublesome, but the blonde Uzumaki has always been a mystery to him. He can be a ruthless ninja one day and a kind-hearted guy the next. But then Shikamaru remembered a small detail he had learned about the blonde. He had been keeping it to himself for a long time, but since Naruto was being honest with him, he realized he should return the favor. "Naruto." "Yeah? Why did you never say anything that you have the 9 tails?" Shikamaru asked carefully. There was a moment of intense silence between the two. Naruto's eyes were widened as he looked at his Naru friend. This was the moment that he feared the most. Not many people his age knew about his burden. "What's there to tell? Many people already hate me for that. You hate me too?" Naruto asked hesitantly. But Shikamaru's response gave him a sense of relief. "It's troublesome to hate you, Naruto. Besides, I know you're not really the 9 tails. You're too kind and too annoying to be that giant fox," Shikamaru said with a soft smile. "Hahaha, so, I guess you knew since the mission in Taki?" Naruto asked curiously. Few had kinda said out loud that he and she were Jinchuriki. "Nope. I knew the truth before that," Shikamaru revealed, actually surprising Naruto. "I've known since we were kids. You're one of my best friends, Naruto. Do you really think I wouldn't have noticed the way the adults looked at you when you, me, and Ino were walking down the village?" Shikamaru stated. "I guess not. But that still doesn't explain how you found out," Naruto said. "People whisper, and I listen. Plus, I was snooping around until my dad caught me. When I asked him about you, he said he couldn't say anything due to a law created by Lord Third. That was when I got even more curious. It took me a while, but I managed to piece it all together. And I came to the conclusion that you are somehow connected to the 9 tails," Shikamaru stated. "I didn't realize you're quite a detective, Shikamaru. And more importantly, I'm surprised you actually invested a lot of your time into this. I figure you would think it was too troublesome," Naruto said with a smirk. "It was troublesome. But when it comes to my friends, my curiosity always got the best of me," Shikamaru said honestly. "Hahaha, you truly are an enigma, Shikamaru Naruto said with awe for his friend. "I'm not the one clouded in mystery, Naruto," Shikamaru said with a lazy smile. Naruto was glad to have Shikamaru as a friend. He may be incredibly lazy, but he is a very understanding guy who doesn't just jump to conclusions. Naruto then realized that he can trust a pineapple-haired Naru with the whole truth. He never really liked keeping secrets, especially from the people he cared about. "Well, in full disclosure, Shika, I am a Jinchuriki. It means human sacrifice. When I was a baby, I was chosen to be the Nine-Tails Keeper. To protect the village from him, and at the same time maintain the power status of Konoha, since the Nine Tails is considered to be the village's ultimate weapon. Naruto stated. But that doesn't make any sense. If that is true, why does the villagers hate you? Shikamaru asked, feeling that Naruto should have been treated like a hero or something. Naruto never liked that particular question. He probably asked himself it 1,000 times already. He especially never likes answering it. Ignorance and fear can bring out the worst in people. Not everyone could grasp the complexity of Fuinjutsu. After the Nine Tails was sealed within me, rumors started to spread. Instead of seeing me as the Nine Tails Keeper, they see me as the Nine Tails himself. Naruto said sadly. So everything you said to Inari that night, it was all true. Shikamaru remembered that very intense night during their mission at the Land of Waves. Naruto couldn't help but let a single tear fall at this. I wasn't even human in their eyes. I was nothing more than a scapegoat for them to take out all of their hate and anger on. Even when I was a child, they would beat me. Even when I was hungry, they would starve me. These people call me a demon, Shika, but what kind of person does that to a child? Naruto asked sadly. Now even Shikamaru couldn't help but let a single tear fall after hearing all of that. Naruto is his best friend. How could the villagers do that to him? He didn't deserve any of that. I'm so sorry, Naruto. Shikamaru said sadly. Hahaha, it's not your fault, Shika. Besides, everything that has happened to me had made me who I am today. And I am proud to be the person that I have become, Naruto said with a weak smile. Naruto, you are the strongest person I know. Not only that, but you are a very good guy. You help people wherever you go, and you make them feel better. If you ask me, this village doesn't deserve you. Shikamaru said coldly. Maybe, maybe not. But I will not let the actions of few determine my judgment. There are still good people in this village. People like my friends and the family that I grew to care. Kakashi is like a brother. Asuma-sensei is like my cool uncle. Old man Tucci and Aim-chan are my ramen-loving family. You are the closest thing I have to a brother. Naruto said with a bright smile. And you, Itachi. Naruto, Shikamaru said with admiration in his voice. Shikamaru honestly didn't know what to say. How could Naruto be so good, despite every bad thing that has happened to him? He honestly won't blame him if he decided to destroy Konoha one day. But knowing what kind of person Naruto is, that possibility was very slim. I'll always have your back, Naruto. I want you to know that. Shikamaru said to his blonde best friend. Thanks, Shika. But I hope you won't come to regret it later. Cause there's always going to be a target on my back. And if I decide to do something a little dramatic, there's going to be a bigger one, Naruto stated with a smirk. Sigh, I'm regretting it already, Shikamaru said with a tired sigh. The Uzumaki and Nar both shared a small laugh after that. Naruto felt like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders. His circle of trust just got a lot bigger thanks to the Nar, and it felt good. Shikamaru will always be his most loyal friend. As they were resting, Shikamaru noticed Naruto's smile turn to a frown. The blonde could see something that Shikamaru couldn't. Tell me, Shikamaru, what do you think about the quote, "The end justifies the means"? Naruto asked, standing up, his eyes lingering at the Hokage monuments. His eyes see visions of a destroyed village instead of the one in front of him. How far should I go? Shikamaru was caught off guard by his question, wondering where it came from, putting his hand on his chin. I'm not sure, Naruto, it depends on what cause, Shikamaru replied, seeing Naruto looking at the village almost in sadness. The future of our world. How far can you go? Naruto asked, but not looking at Shika as he talked, his voice sounding tired all of a sudden and a bit different, his eyes looking at a figure standing in front of him, a figure that Shikamaru couldn't see. How far would you go so the next generation won't know the cruelty of war? Naruto asked. The figure disappeared as if it was a ghost. Before Shikamaru could answer or ask if he was okay, they heard a voice. Naruto-kun, turning around to see Ino and Asuma-sensei. Ino and Asuma joined them after her training was finally done for the day. Ino's face is completely covered in ash due to the many Kaiten jutsus she had practiced with the Sarutobi. She then dropped down on the grassy floor and lay her head on Naruto's lap. Whiskers. Ino tired. Need kisses. Ino could feel Naruto chuckle at how childish she sounded. How about later, Ino-chan? I don't want to get ash all over my face. Naruto said, while brushing her platinum blonde hair. Please, Whiskers. Ino needs kisses. Ino said with her biggest puppy dog eyes. Despite her face covered in ash, she is still cute as hell. And it was very hard to resist. Oh fine. You such a baby, Naruto said with a laugh, as he leans his head down and kissed her lips. After he pulled away, his lip area was now covered in ash. But you my baby, Naruto declared, as he took out a piece of cloth from his back pouch and began to clean her ash-covered face. She looked at him with a soft smile and giggled at how sweet her boyfriend was. Teehee, you guys make me want to barf, Shikamaru said, slightly grossed out at how lovey-dovey his two teammates can be, despite him being around. Oh come on, Shika. When you find your own blonde, you'll understand. Naruto said with smirk. What makes you think the girl I want to be with is blonde? The only blondes I know are you two, and you're both troublesome. Shikamaru said as a matter of fact. Because you're a blonde magnet, Shika. Out of all people, you happen to be on the same team with the only two blondes in our class. What does that say? Naruto stated smugly. I bet his future wife is going to be a blonde. Ino said with a smirk. Doubtful. Shikamaru denied. Alright guys, I need to talk to you all about something serious. Asuma said with his no bullshit tone that immediately caught the three genins' attention. What is it, Asuma-sensei? Naruto asked. Earlier today, all the Jonin senseis, including myself, were summoned to the Hokage Tower to discuss about the upcoming Chunin exams. And I nominated all three of you to participate. Asuma said with a smirk. This immediately surprised the three genins. Are they truly ready to be Chunin? Chunin exams. We've only been a team for 5.5 months, and you're already tired of us, Asuma-sensei Ino asked with sad anime tears. She didn't like the idea of the team being separated. No? Nothing like that, Ino. We are still Team 10, even if you are all Chunins. It just means that I won't be your sensei anymore. So during our missions, you'll be my teammates, instead of subordinates. And on the plus side, no more D-rank missions. Asuma said with a smile at the end, trying to explain that it won't change that much. But there's a chance we could get separated, Asuma-sensei. Chunins tend to lead their own teams, and go on missions with different teams. Naruto stated. I am aware. But it won't be always. We are still a team. All four of us. And the majority of the missions we'll take it together. I promise. Asuma ensured. All Shikamaru could do was raise an eyebrow at this discussion. We speak like becoming Chunins is a guarantee. I heard those exams can be brutal. Plus, we're still considered rookies, since we haven't been a team for a year. Shikamaru stated with a lazy sigh. I know, Shikamaru. But as your sensei, I am very confident in your abilities. Each of you showed great promise, and I know you'll succeed. Asuma said with a confident tone that his genin team will no doubt pass the exam. Naruto, Ino and Shikamaru were very happy that their sensei believes in them. It was a good confidence booster, despite still being a rookie. But then they remembered a certain habit about their sensei, which made all of them raise an eyebrow at him. You bet on us, did you? Ino asked with a monotone voice. All Asuma did was smirk at this accusation. Hell yeah, I did. And you guys are going to make me rich. Asuma said with a laugh. Such a role model. All three genins thought sarcastically. Asuma then reached into his back pouch and took out 3 pieces of paper. He then handed them each to his genins. Alright, here are your application forms. That being said, the nomination is not compulsory. If you guys feel that you are not ready, then you are free to decide whether to take the exam or not. But if you do sign those forms, come to room 301 at the academy by 3 PM, 5 days from now. Asuma instructed. You got it, sensei. All three said in unison. You're all dismissed. No training for the meantime. I'll see you all in 5 days. Asuma said, as he gave half salute and shunshin away from the training ground. Now it was only the 3 young genins that remained, wondering if they should enter the exams or not. But luckily, it was an easy decision for one of them. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely going to that exam. I bet it'll be fun, Naruto said with a soft smirk. You crazy, Naruto-kun, if you think I'm not going with you, Ino said with her own smirk. Sigh, troublesome, well, if you guys are going, I guess I have to go too. Shikamaru with a tired sigh. Hell yeah. Team 10 is going to dominate that exam. Ino said proudly, as she pumps her fist in the air. Don't jinx us, Ino, Shikamaru said with a groan. Hahaha, it's going to okay, Shika. As long as the 3 of us are together, we can do anything. Naruto stated with a confident smile. Damn straight. Ino agreed. Sigh, I'll guess we'll see, Shikamaru said with some doubt in his voice, but eventually he was starting to believe in his blonde teammate's words. You guys want to get some lunch? Cause I'm starving, Naruto said, feeling his stomach was about to cry out. It's not going to be ramen again, is it? Shikamaru asked with a raised eyebrow. Naruto wanted to defend his precious ramen, but surprisingly someone else did it instead. What do you have against ramen, Shika? Ino asked with a defensive tone and narrowed eyes. I made a believer. Praise the ramen gods. Naruto thought with glee. It's fine, Ino-chan. I'm actually craving for some barbecue. Let's go to Yakiniku-Q. My treat. Naruto said with a bright smile. He wanted to have their lunch at the same place where Team 10 started. Yay. Free food. Ino yelled out happily as she wraps her arm around Naruto's and leans her head on his shoulder. Geez, don't yell it out loud, Ino. Choji might have heard that, Shikamaru said with a smirk when he saw Naruto turn slightly pale, as he looked around cautiously, feeling that his chubby friend can sense the promise of free food. Unknown location. Somewhere, deep beneath Konoha, was a large underground base. It was dark, cold, devoid of any sense of joy or light. It was filled with shinobis, all dressed in identical headed cloaks, and wearing what seems to be Anbu masks, but completely blank, just like the life in their eyes, and tone of their voices. They were all kneeling before a single figure, who is currently sitting on a throne. The figure appears to be a frail old man, who is holding a cane in his hand. He had black, shaggy hair, his right eye was bandaged, and on his chin is an axe-shaped scar. He wore a white shirt, with a black or dark gray robe over the top of it covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. The robe conceals his right arm, which was bandaged, and covered with 3 large golden, had a strong aura of darkness around him. As he opens his only visible eye, he then addressed the young Anbu shinobi, that was currently kneeling before him. "Report," the old man ordered with a cold tone. "Yes, Danzo-sama. Weapon RD is almost complete. Our scientists confirmed that it will be combat ready before the year ends." The rude agent answered, with a lifeless voice. "Excellent. What about Project New?" The now identified Danzo asked his loyal subordinate. "Unfortunately, the progression of Project New has been delayed. We require more Hashirama cells, since we use most of it on Weapon RD." The agent answered, once more with a lifeless voice. "That is unfortunate. Project New was supposed to be my grand equalizer if Konoha should turn on me, and only Orochimaru has access to those cells." "Speaking of whom, have you made contact with his spy?" Danzo asked with an annoyed tone. "Yes, Danzo-sama. We have received confirmation that Orochimaru plans to infiltrate the upcoming Chunin exams," the young Anbu said. "For what purpose?" Danzo asked. "According to the spy, Orochimaru plans to attack Konoha and assassinate the false Hokage," the agent answered. "I see. Anything more?" Danzo asked, surprisingly taking the news of his village about to be attacked without a care in the world. "Nothing further, my lord," the agent answered. Danzo then used his fingers to stroke his scarred chin. "This attack could be beneficial for my goals. With Hiruzen gone, I'll finally become Hokage like should have been, and make the Kyuubi boy my weapon. But I doubt Orochimaru doesn't have another agenda. I have a feeling he might go after Sasuke as well," Danzo said, with a sinister smirk. "What are your orders, Danzo-sama?" the agent asked. "For now, we do nothing. But I want to place some eyes and ears in this exam. I don't want to leave anything to chance. Bring me Shin and Sai, and a third young rude agent," Danzo ordered. "My lord, I'm afraid Shin is still recovering from his last mission. His current health will be a liability to this task. I respectfully volunteer myself," the loyal agent requested boldly. But this bold action made Danzo narrowed his eye at the young agent. "Are questing me, agent?" Danzo asked, with his narrowed eye and a threatening tone. "No, my lord. I simply suggest." "You are not supposed to suggest anything. En route, you have no identity, no will, no past. The only thing that matters is the mission. Your purpose is to serve me, and me alone. And forfeit your lives, if the village demands it. This is the way," Danzo reminded firmly. "This is the way," all the other kneeling agents repeated. "This is the way." The young agent repeated as never liked when his agents questioned him. But this agent in particular was very intelligent, and Danzo knew that he is one of his most faithful loyalists. And what he brought up was not entirely wrong. Shin has been under medical care for some time now. And it's only a matter of time before he and Sai will go through the initiation test. The suggestion, however, is noted. This is no simple reconnaissance mission after all, and the consequences of failure is unacceptable. "Very well, Tanuki. You and Sai will proceed with the mission. As for your third teammate, I want you to take our newest recruit," Danzo ordered. "As you command, Danzo-sama," the now identified Tanuki obediently said, before he shunshin away to find his 2 teammates further he left. Danzo was now smirking with satisfaction. "The village will suffer, there's no doubt about it. But it's a small price to pay for me to become Hokage. Your time in the sun is almost over, Hiruzen. Soon, I will rise from the darkness and bring forth a new era for Konoha. This is the way," Danzo thought, with the evil smirk never leaving his face. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.